Okay, so we're doing lesson 23. Hopefully you have read it and are discussing it in your group. If you have not, then pause right now. So hopefully you notice that instead of having one of the x squareds, we have two. So what happens if we split them in to two separate, and I have an x squared here? And let's say I'm going to split these up. I'm going to give one here. I'm going to give one here. Oopsie daisy. I'm going to give one here. I'm going to give one here. Then we have three ones values. So there's one there, and then we have one extra over here. So in the last unit, we figured out that this is an x by 1 and an x by 1. So that's x plus 1 all squared. And amazingly, this is the same thing, so it would be an x plus 1 squared. Well, we have two of those, so that's the same thing as saying 2 times x plus 1 all squared. And then I have an extra 1. On this one, we have x squareds. We have 3 x squareds this time. I know my x squareds are not pretty. Then we divided these into groups of 2. Now we need them in groups of 3 because we have 3 different groups. So if I divide that by 3, I'm going to get 1 here, get 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then I have 1, 2, and 3. How many do I have left over? I have 2 left over. So this time I would have 3x, or excuse me, 3 times the quantity x plus 1 all squared and plus 2. Now, in all of the things that you've done so far, we've had a leading coefficient of 1. If you look at these two that we just did, they actually had leading coefficients of 2 and 3. Notice how those two numbers ended up right here. Excuse me. So if I look at this model right here, as I look at it, I have 2x squareds. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8x plus 1. So that's the same as this over here. It's algebraic. Algebra. Now, what I need to do right now is look what they've done over in the picture. What have they done? They've made this into x squared plus 4x plus something. Okay? Ooh, do you notice how it says x squared plus 4x here? And there are 2 sets of those. Then they have a 1 here. Okay, now when we talk about this, back in the last section, in order to find this c value right here, we took half of this number, which is 2, and we square it, that gets 4. I apologize. In reality, if I'm looking at it, doesn't it say that this 2 is on the outside of the set of parentheses? So really and truly, that is not a 4, but that is actually an 8. And we're going to subtract 8. Now, some of you may be confused right now, but we'll do this some more, and you'll see that we added on nothing because we added an 8 here, but then we subtracted that 8. Okay. Then we come here. We have some missing squares. We have a missing square here, a missing square here. See, these 3 are missing. Ooh, I should be making these dotted because they're all missing. So how many are missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I look at this up here, isn't 1 minus 8 negative 7? And if we're missing, we use a, what do I want to say? A negative sign, sorry. Negative symbol. Okay. So I'm going to go to the next page real quick. Oops, I went to the wrong page. Helps if I'm on the right page. I actually want to skip page 225 and I want to go to 226 and I want to do this. And I actually want to do a problem up here first before I do this. I'm going to do x squared plus 8x plus 3. So when we did this before, and I was completing the square, I had something right here. I would take half of this number, which is 4, and I'd square it, I'd get 16. Now you saw a minute ago that they were doing some subtracting. Well, look at this. This is what they've done, okay? They've added the number and they've subtracted it, because when you add these two numbers together, you get 0 plus 3. So this would be equivalent to that, and that's why they do that. So you have x plus 4, quantity squared, minus 13. So we're going to be doing the same thing on these, okay? You're going to look at the first two terms. When I look at just the first two terms, I factor out the first number, plus blank, parenthesis, minus 7, minus blank. Whatever I put here, I need, whatever this number stands for, that number also, its opposite needs to go over here. So half of negative 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. But I'm multiplying it by this 2 right here. So that's really 8. So I have 2, x minus 2 all squared, minus 15. Okay. Use a different color so everything's not running into each other. So do this one real quick. 3, you take out that, you're looking at the first two. X squared plus 4x plus blank plus the 4 that's already there minus blank. They didn't give me a lot of space to write. So I take half of this, which is 2, and I square it, which is 4. But this time I have a 3 out front, so it's 3 times 4, it's 12, so that 12 goes in there. That's 3 times the quantity, x plus 2, all squared, minus 8. Then, let's look at this next one. I'm actually going to come down a little bit. What do you take out? Say it out loud in your groups. Hopefully you said a 4. When I do that, I get x squared minus 6x plus blank, close parenthesis, plus 3 minus blank. So half of this number and square it. That would be a 9 here. 4 times 9 is 36. So 4, x minus 3 all squared. Did you remember the minus? The subtraction, sorry. Okay, I want you to pause it. I want you to do the next 3. Okay, I should be able to go this fast. Take out a 7, so I get x squared plus 2x plus blank minus 8 plus, ooh, I almost messed up, minus blank. Half of that, that's 1, so that's 7. So 7 parenthesis x plus 1 all squared minus 15. This one, I take out a 5. I get x squared minus 4x plus blank minus 2 minus blank. Half of that, square it. That'll get 20. So I have 5 x minus 2 all squared minus 22. And last but certainly not least, I take out a 2, x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus 5 minus 18. 2 parenthesis x plus 3 all squared minus 13. And hopefully you got the same answers. Now, what is the difference between all of these that we just did and being in vertex form? The only difference is vertex form says y equals. All of these up here right now are expressions. Okay. Now, if you notice, hopefully, you notice 6 through 11 are actually the same things as 13 through 18. All it wants now is for you to write the vertex points. So pause it right now and find the vertex points. So you should have gotten 2, negative 15, negative 2, negative 8, 3, negative 33, should have gotten negative 1, negative 15, 2, negative 22, and negative 3, negative 13.